AMD is really bringing it to Intel in the laptop market. Tesla's bringing chargers to non-Teslas. 300-watt charging's coming for a phone. And we got bad news about AMD. Of course we do. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast on this Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. Don't forget that we're giving away this high-end gaming PC with the 7950X 3D and a 7900X TX. You can come watch us on Twitch in order to get all of the details about that. And you can watch AMD just continuously stick it to Intel in the laptop market, because with these new Dragon Range processors that are coming out, we're finding out more and more that Intel actually might be in an underdog position, because we have benchmarks of the top of the range 16 core 7945HX coming out from Notebook Check, indicating that yes, at the highest level they are competitive with Intel, but also have some major advantages. Even comparing it to the last gen, they're 27% faster than the previous 6900HX in single core performance, which is enough to put it within 4% of Intel's fastest 13980HX chip. But then when you look at multi-core, again, they're within a few percentage points of each other. They're actually really, really close. However, one of the caveats is that with the laptops as they were tested by Notebook Check, the Intel platform was using DDR5 5600, whereas the RAM on the AMD laptop was only at 4800 megahertz. So an advantage going to Intel there, and it still couldn't put AMD in the dust. But the big consideration here is the power consumption, especially considering that these are laptop chips. AMD is hitting these numbers at much lower power draw. When they limited the power of each chip to only 120 watts, the AMD CPU was faster by 22%. That's quite a big deal, especially when it comes, again, to laptop performance, battery life, things lasting. Having the chip that can perform better if you limit its power draw is what you're going to want to need in a situation where you're not always attached to a wall. Further benchmarks in gaming are showing that Intel beats AMD by about 7%, which is a considerable gap, but again, power draw being a key consideration right there. Let me know what you think of AMD's resurgence in the mobile market down below in the comments. But a few weeks ago, we talked about another L that Intel took with regards to their 2.5 gigabit Ethernet controller. It was being reported at the time that there was intermittent connectivity issues that was causing the Ethernet to drop out entirely. One of the workaround fixes was to limit it to 1 gigabit per second, but now Intel has worked to find a fix for this. They're publishing it with the different motherboard vendors. MSI is the first one to come out with it for their motherboards, but it should fix the i225, i226, or killer E3100 2.5 gigabit Ethernet controllers on these motherboards. Turns out that there's a bug in the energy saving functionality portion of the driver, and Intel's having to publish the actual fix for that. So if you've been having this issue with these specific Ethernet controllers, the fix might be coming out to you sometime soon, and the fix is in for Reece. Didn't give us UFD deals yesterday. I hope he gives us one today.
Hey, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing you the hottest tech deals out on the internet. As you can see, the camera angle's a little weird. I had to move some stuff around in my desk to make space for stuff that's coming next week, but until then I can change things around. But for now, deals, we have the Sticklemonster MM720 lightweight gaming mouse. This little guy is going for only $18.99, which is $34 or 64% off. But then next up we have the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. This 8-core 16-thread AM4 CPU is going for only $220.87, which is 51% off. And then lastly we have the Intel Core i9 12900K. This 12th gen 16-core CPU is going for only $352.38 with the included promo code. That brings your total savings to $297.61 off, which is one heck of a deal. But speaking of deals, that's it for the day. You can find the links to these and more in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Thanks, Reece, for the great deals. And Tesla is providing a great deal for any non-Tesla owner, because they are finally rolling out, at least to the United States, the ability to charge your non-Tesla vehicle using the Supercharger network, which is one of the main advantages that Tesla has had over any other EV manufacturer, is the robust charging network, where they have tens of thousands of chargers nationwide that don't have the same problems that you're finding at places like Electrify America or EVgo. Tesla has rolled out this program in different portions of the world previously. This is the first time it's hitting the United States. It works with a Magic Dock system, which allows you to actually connect a CCS charger to the Tesla charger. It all works through the app. You have to have a Tesla account, but they will charge you about 25% more than what a normal Tesla customer would have to pay. But they also have a $13 a month membership where you can pay Tesla rates on the electricity in case you want to charge your non-Tesla EV vehicle. There's plenty of cars that are now testing this out. MKBHD charged a Rivian on it. You can see Electrek also charged a Chevy Bolt EV. This is going to bring in newer issues. One of the big things that's been happening with superchargers chargers, especially with the adoption of Tesla vehicles as they're selling 1 million units every single year, is that the chargers, even though they're the largest charging network in the entire United States, are still not robust enough for things like travel holidays. When so many people are out on the road, they definitely would need to be charging. You can see hour-long lines at specific Tesla chargers, especially out in California and other places where the Teslas are more popular. This will only add to that, with non-Teslas being able to do this. It's going to create more congestion there, but to the benefit of kind of everybody. It's a tricky situation. We just need better charging infrastructure in the United States to make all of this work. Let me know, do you have a non-Tesla EV? Does this excite you? Talk to me down below. And Meta is not talking about their next generation Quest 3 headset, but internal employee information is coming out from The Verge that they're publishing that the Quest 3 should be about twice as powerful as the Quest 2 and should launch sometime soon, being thinner, but likely will cost a little bit more than the Quest 2, which already starts at $399. Yeah, that's right. They increased it from $299 a few months ago. So it likely will be more expensive. It's also going to have a smart Guardian system, which will allow you to interact in mixed reality where you don't have to set your boundaries. It's going to be able to intelligently do that for you. And then they should be coming out with a more affordable or accessible headset sometime in 2024, probably around the $250 mark, as John Carmack envisioned when he was still with Meta, but he recently left the company due to differing visions. Maybe they're actually going to implement it, and then further in the future, they're supposed to be coming out with a VR headset that's going to allow for photorealistic codec avatars, and finally getting us into Zuck's vision of the future. And the vision of phone future is charging really fast. You just need a few seconds of juice, well, then you can get up to major percentage points on that battery. Realme showed off their GT3, which was capable of 240 watt charging on the phone, bringing the battery up to 3% within 10 seconds, which would give you plenty of time to do a whole lot. In 30 seconds, it can add 6%. So this makes it so that you can just run your battery down, charge it up real quick, and they had different infrastructure in the phone to make sure that the battery is not getting too hot, which would be the biggest problem with charging at this speed, is that you can cause thermal expansion, thermal runaway in the batteries, but they have mitigations against that. But to be upstaged, Realme showed that off, but then Xiaomi the very next day came out with their 300 watt charging, which can do 0 to 100% charging in just 5 minutes. They showed a live demo of this on stage at Mobile World Conference and showed a time lapse where you see a clock and the power that it's consuming, nearly 290 watts. An absolutely insane feature. Let me know, does this intrigue you for your phone? Do you prefer features like wireless charging? Do you prefer fast charging? Do you want bigger batteries with fast charging? What's the ideal phone situation for you? Let me know down below in the comments. And the ideal situation, I think, for a lot of gamers all across the world is that Nvidia gets taken down a peg so that they stop charging us so much for graphics cards. But that doesn't seem like it's going to happen that way, because we got new details of the sales of GPUs in Q4 of 2022, and it's not going the consumer way, my friends. It's being reported that GPU shipments are down 38% on the year, with desktop graphics being down 24% and notebook graphics being down 43%, which is a big decline. A lot of this is due to the fact that mining GPUs are no longer being sold, and you can see the total amount of GPUs being sold went down from 26 million in Q4 of 2021 to just 13 million units in Q4 of 2022. But the big news, the real honkin' donker here, is if you take a real close look at this chart right here, you'll notice that Nvidia has 82% of the market, which is down from 86% the previous quarter, but up from a year ago at 78%. But you can see that AMD had 18% a year ago. And now, instead of Nvidia getting less market share because Intel has entered the market, Intel and AMD are at the exact same split. AMD is losing market share to Intel, and they're both competing for the same type of customers, whereas Nvidia people are just buying Nvidia no matter what. It's creating a situation where likely Nvidia feels bolstered to sell a 4090 at $1,600, a 4080 at $1,200, and a 4080 12 gig at $900, and then switch it to a 4070 Ti and sell it for $800, because people are buying it no matter what. They own the dominant market share, and recent reports are coming out that Nvidia is heavily invested in AI with the surge of ChatGPT and a lot of AI and neural networks that are coming out with that. Nvidia is looking mighty rosy, and people are buying Intel instead of AMD, instead of Intel instead of Nvidia, and that's likely not going to yield the change in effect that I think a lot of people wanted when Team Blue entered the GPU market. However, the thing to know here is that AMD is not hurting. They came out with their Q4 earnings report showing off the fact that gaming is their #1 revenue, and now we have reports that Yeah, that's all thanks to Sony and Xbox, because it's being reported that Sony is AMD's largest customer, accounting for 16% of AMD's entire revenue. And that, in fact, if you remove Xilinx, which is the company that they recently acquired for $40 billion, Sony accounted for 20% of AMD's revenue. Sony is single-handedly AMD's largest customer, 1/5 of their entire revenue. We talked about this on AMD's earnings report when that came out for Hot News, that AMD is doing just fine with the consoles. They really don't need to compete in the desktop market. They are doing phenomenally, and that unfortunately this likely will mean a phasing of Intel and AMD just fighting for the mid and lower tier, and Nvidia continuing to charge more and more and just suck the wallet dry for the high-end people. Let me know, is this what you expected when Intel entered the GPU market? Were you expecting them to eat solely into AMD's market share? I want to hear from you down below in the comments, and I'll hear more from you tomorrow, because it's Hot News, where we're going to talk about the Haas Tech news. You give me your feedback. We make this whole world go round. We're giving away this PC. If you come watch us on Twitch, it's a great new thing.